What up, peeps? It's your girl, Dash. Come back to Funeral Takes. Well, it's a time, you guys. It's movie review time, and this is for The Last Night in Soho, directed by Edgar Wright. And before I get into it, let me just note this will be non-spoiler. I refuse to give away any good, juicy tidbits from this film. That will be, again, a disservice. But all I can say is I truly enjoyed this film. This is one of the ones where, due to the pandemic, got pushed back, and of course, bummed about that. But once I knew it was coming out, later in the year, I was just like, I can't wait to just grab that ticket so I can see this in the theater. From that trailer, I knew I wanted to go to the theater to see. I was refused to wait for this to come out so for me to watch at home. I wanted to really be immersed again with this film. And being that this is my type of film, I love me a good psychological horror, thriller film, and this one did not disappoint. So pretty much with that said, now this cast on this one, let me go through some names. We have, of course, Thomason McKenzie, we have Anya Taylor-Joy, we have Diane Rigg, rest in peace, Terrence Stamp, and Matt Smith. Just to name a few. And let me say, that's such a superb casting. When I remember knowing that Anya Taylor-Joy was attached at first, and then of course Matt Smith, and of course eventually hearing about Thomason, Mackenzie coming on board, wasn't did not know about Diana Rigg until later on, before the film was going to be premiering this later in the year. But needless to say, this movie literally is like a mind bending odyssey. Literally, it's like you're going through two women's lives who are in two different time periods, drenched literally in like neon lights. I'm like, the amount of colors, the cinematography. I mean, let me just throw that out there really quickly. Just beautiful. Now, the way it sets it up at the beginning, I will say, at least showcase, is that you get introduced to Mackenzie's character named Eloise, and she's of course doing like a little dance number to a song by Peter and Gordon's "A World Without Love." Love that she was, of course, in one of her own makings, like a kind of like a newspaper dress, really beautifully done, and just kind of waiting to know if she got into designer school, and of course she does. And now you do get to see a scene with her and her grandmother. She has lost her mother, so she feels like she wants to follow on the path of her mother, going to London, to learn fashion. I do like when you do hear a comment from her grandmother. She's like, just kind of, letting her know she's there, speak, but she's like, London can be a lot. And as time goes on within this film, that is rightfully so. So I will say that definitely sets it up. Now, you do get to see scenes where eventually she meets some roommates. And let me just get the girl's name, because it's pretty much the mean girl type from the film, where you got the one who's the lead, and then you got the other ones who's like the little followers who just don't know any better. The woman who's playing her, she does a good job. Her name is, I want to say, Sinove Carlson. She plays Jocasta, and she just fit Mean Girl to a T. Ugh, kudos to the one who played her, because she played her very well. She was freaking annoying. But needless to say, being that she's somewhere she's not used to, coming from Cornwall, she basically pretty much realizes this is not going to probably be a fit living with this girl. She's just the drinking, bringing a young boy back to the room that they share, whatever. So eventually she decides, rather than subject herself to abuse, Ellie decides to get an attic room, at an old lady's land, this place, from this landlord named Miss Collins, that's played by Diana Rigg, and kind of sets it up. She loves the room, feels independence and all that. So that kind of the setup for that. Needless to say, dreams, start to happen. Now, mind you, she does note that, she has visions and things of that nature early on, at the beginning of the film. So that kind of sets you up. So you kind of have an idea. If you see the actual trailer, you get to kind of hear her make comments, because even her grandmother asked, have you seen your mother? What or not? She said, I haven't seen her for a long time, which clearly that was not true. But I like how eventually you go into a portal where you see her when she's, goes to sleep, at night and all that. And that's kind of when we get, introduced to the neon lights, like I said, the 60s vibe, whichever. And that's when we finally do get introduced to the character played by Anya Taylor-Joy, Sandy. And you get to meet the sleazy Jack, played by Matt Smith. That's when it kind of sets up the tone where you see, now Ellie and, Sandy's sequences, kind of happening, just done wonderfully, honestly, it kind of happens where you see in the trailer like the little with the float across the club's dance floor and all that, and Ellie's mesmerized at first, but before then, you start to see things, turning, protective of, Sandy over the course of the film. But I like how she at first is just enamored of what she's seeing, learning about Sandy. She wants to, meet the owner of the actual club so she can sing. That's where her real true talent is. And of course, Jack thinks he can, deliver this and all that. And she's, just kind of enamored of what he can do. And certain things happen within the club when she's first introduced to him. So she starts to feel a little bit of comfort that she can, get this gentleman to help her. Possibly if he's able to help her get a gig, he might end up being her, agent or manager to help her, and then he's kind of doing what he wants to do, and he has other things in mind as well. So that kind of sets up that little tone in that. But as the time goes on, you see, Eloise, learning about her fashion, all that, of course, mean girl, making little hints here and all that. And she's kind of just going with the flow. At night, come home, the night, more of the nightlife scene, what's going on with Sandy, kind of getting immersed with that. And like I said, over time, she starts seeing things change between Sandy and Jack. You can see how she wants to become more protective of her, knowing that this guy, he's scum, pretty much putting her in a situation where you can clearly see over the course of the film where it becomes more less about her singing and more so about using, her in so many other ways. Get my drift, and needless to say, she can clearly see she's kind of gotten in over her head a little bit and kind of trying to find a way to get kind of out of this situation scenario. And that sets up where clearly it starts to take a toll on Thomason because she's, after a while, I'm not sure if she really wants to know anymore, see more, but gotta go to sleep, gotta get up in the morning and all that. And needless to say, it starts to mess with her mental a little bit over time throughout the film. So I will say this. I love the scene, just to kind of bring it back really quickly to Sandy, when Anya Taylor-Joy does the song by, what is it, Petula Clark's Downtown. And that you do hear it throughout the trailer here, just done beautifully. That was really a highlight that I enjoyed, where she gets to showcases to the, one of the owners of another club, whatever, and all that. And that's when you think that she might have finally, hit it. But then, like I stated, for shifts in of what they want to utilize her for more so than the singing. I will say this with this. I just really love watching the dreams turn into the nightmares, and how it heightens and certain things start to happen. There's some trauma, best not to give too much away. There's one scene where you do get introduced to another person who's in the school for designing, and his name is, I want to say John, played by, what is it, Michael. Jayo, I hope I'm saying his last name correctly and all that. It takes a little shine to her. He tries to slowly, build up a little bit of a friendship and all. And eventually, over time of the film, whatever, she feels a little bit more at ease and comfortable, whichever. Needless to say, there's a moment where they go out to like a little party, but they come back, whatever, and some things kind of transpire. And let's just say that it's so a lot going on in that one scene. I know some people might feel a little uneasy about what happens, in regards to him being with her, and then some other things end up happening because after a while those dreams that turn into nightmares start to manifest and certain things happening where it reveals a little bit more of the story with Sandy. And it was a really good scene, definitely graphic, very effective, and definitely sets a tone for some other things where you do see where she eventually has to go to the authorities. They don't know how to believe her. You're talking like, are you taking something? Did somebody put something in your drink? All the little things you think would actually happen, and it's just it is what it is. But I like it, and you do get to know a little bit more about the landlord. You get to learn about another gentleman played by Terrence Stamp. He's kind of like the great haired gentleman. She sees and she thinking that he might play a part in something might have happened back in the '60s with Sandy, but things are not what they appear to be. And that's kind of all I'm going to say about that. But I do love me some Terrence Stamp. He's been in many films, just a great actor altogether. Same thing with Diana Rigg. We get to see a couple scenes with her, actually, interacting with with Eloise, and I just like that. And as I said, over time in the film, when Eloise kind of becomes engulfed in this, whatever, she of course changes up her appearance a little bit too, trying to take on the likeness of Sandy, and it just looks like, she's doing it. She's kind of just a lot going on with her where it's just too much to handle. Like they said, going back to what her grandmother said, London can be a lot. And her grandmother eventually, sometimes you see her, talking to her or whatever, and all, her grandma can sense something's not right, I'll come get you, whatever. And eventually she just knows that this might not be the place for her. But then, like I stated before, certain things are revealed later on in the film, that put more things into perspective where she thought that she knew what was going on, she understood this, whichever, and she was so wrong. And I really, really like that because a lot of people, I know some people are probably wondering, will we, figure out what's really going on and what's going to happen? But I like the way Edgar Wright kind of explained it to me. I just really like the way overall, and the overall end. Certain sequences where Eloise is trying to get out of a bad situation. I will say this: there's one part in the scene in like that last final act where I felt like it dragged on just a tad, but in the end, definitely effective. It had some music with the backdrop with that, so that's fine. It is what it is. But yeah, like I stated before, definitely good with that. Like you pretty much. I just feel like this movie definitely. It was just done just so good. You get a little bit of the Soho history. You also get, definitely a memorable soundtrack. I'm most likely going to get it because I love the music they played in this one. Definitely with surreal dreams, very surreal. Definitely certain sequences, in regards to ghosts. A little bit of romance, even though nothing really happened so much with Eloise and the young gentleman, but definitely a good slasher sequence in this as well. Definitely good with that. All I can say overall, the performances were done very well. Thomasin McKenzie did an amazing job. Love me some Anya Taylor-Joy. She can never do no wrong with me. I just love all the work that she puts out. Again, like Matt Smith, he played Sleaze very well in this film. Also, Terrence Stepp, like I stated before, definitely at times creepy factor with him. Always kind of somewhere, gazing, looking, whatever, and all that, and just interesting and all that. He definitely has a scene where it's very, you know and somewhat pivotal for Eloise to come to a conclusion about something, but I won't go, like I said, into too much of that. And also, like I said, with Diana Rigg, she, and I think this was her last and final film. So, like I said, rest in peace to her. Love a lot of her work, and if you all definitely should know who she is. She was what is it, Olenna Tyrell from Game of Thrones. Hello, so yes, definitely enjoys. I will say with this overall, again, I love this film. I kind of, when I watch this, I kind of get, like a kind of like a garish, ghoulish type of, 60s psychological horror, like Love Letter, just done very, very well. And I just, I really was just really enthralled in this. I really enjoyed this. I know I'm kind of acting like I'm stuck and speechless and all that because I really just enjoyed it really from beginning to end. I just thought it was done just effortlessly. I know a lot of people, I think will like it. Some probably like it might not be their cup of tea and all, and that's all great and good. But definitely one that I most definitely plan to add it to my collection. I look forward to watching it again. I'm just gonna wait for it to come out so I can just watch it in the comfort of my own home. And I'm already told a couple people who I feel like movies enough that they'll probably enjoy it as well as me. But needless to say, that's pretty much it, you guys. So my rating on this out of a 10, I'm gonna give this a 9. Like I said, it was probably one or two parts in the sequence that kind of dragged a little bit, and that was really my only little, minor little rant on that. But overall, the film was really done very, very well. So with that said, you guys, comment below. Let me know what you think. And with that said, I'll see you guys on the next movie review. You guys take care.